any more than you use a hammer to wash your face. It's the wrong tool. The existentialist is not trying to refute an opponent by appeal to some universal norms of reason. No. He's not trying to define the universal essence of human nature, as in the Aristotelian or Thomistic tradition. And certainly not trying to achieve some objective detachment from the whole business. No, rather, he's trying to describe the predicament in an illuminating way. To describe and illuminate the situation, the mess in which we find ourselves. Trying, if you like, to uncover what it is that we dread. So trying to describe these existential characteristics of individual existence. The concern. The emphasis is upon the individual as a subject who consciously feels her existence. You see? A subject with all of the inwardness that accompanies I, the subject. You see? Even Jerry Brown's we the people is too objective and impersonal. You see? Because the we doesn't have an inwardness, a feeling of this sort. It's the individual I. So a descriptive task. And in this, I think it's fair to say that existentialism is influenced, in its beginnings in the 19th century, is influenced very plainly by Kant and by Hegel, neither of whom were existentialists. But without whom, I think it's fair to say that there never have been existentialism, at least not in any form that we know. There may have been earlier existential motifs in earlier thinkers, Augustine, Pascal, you see, but not the existentialism we know. Kant's influence, yeah, Kant's Copernican revolution, which, as you recall, was moved from the view that we are objective, detached observers of the world and conform ourselves, our thinking, to what the world is. Moving from that, the revolution, moving from that to the view that the world is going to be conformed to us, to what we are, bring inwardly. And so it is the Kantian emphasis on the transcendental self, the transcendental ego that is uncovered, that is presupposed in the forms of intuition and the categories of understanding. You see. This self, which brings its own structures and meanings to the world. Now, that sort of theme is running throughout the existentialists. So, Kant's influence there. Hegel's influence, yeah, the dialectic. The dialectic of an unfolding self-consciousness. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. The synthesis becoming a thesis for a new antithesis. You see, this unfolding of the self-consciousness. Now, admittedly, Hegel had used this dialectic in moving from one essence to another essence and so on and so forth. It's a theoretical dialectic. For Kierkegaard, it's an existential dialectic. You see, in the concreteness of our feelings, we move from thesis to antithesis and synthesis. Unless, in the final analysis as with Sartre, there's no final synthesis, which is why Sartre is the pessimist he is. So that when you read Sartre's Transcendence of the Ego next week, what you'll be finding in the act of being self-conscious in any kind of world. Yes. Not just creating meaning, but creating itself. So that you and I are big nothings. And we create ourselves, as it were, afresh in every act of thinking, seeing, participating, and so forth. Well, this is a dialectical process. Well, you'll find that Kant's description of thesis, antithesis, synthesis in terms of immediacy, mediation, and then the next step, the synthesis, whatever that is, that immediacy, mediation, those terms characteristic in existential writers. In addition, from Hegel, the phenomenological description. You see, the phenomenological method. That's Hegel's. So keep in mind that servant-master dialectic, because that sort of dialectic of the self-consciousness is going to be common. One other theme, perhaps, from Hegel, the matter of freedom. You know, Hegel said that the overall process of history is the absolutization of freedom. The development of the full self-consciousness is the absolutization of its freedom. Well, the existentialist forgets about any teleology in history, but finds absolutization of freedom. You see, the individual's freedom. Not part of some absolute, of a Hegelian sort, but as individual. And as a result, the movement is for the existentialist from existence to essence. You see? From being, being, if that's what you mean by existence, via becoming, you see, to another kind of being, capital B, essence rather than existence. You'll find that in Heidegger, for instance, this mere existence is referred to as Vorhandensein, just being on hand like any other object. You see, no inwardness of identity at all. Vorhandensein. Or, if you like, as Dasein. That there. There it is. Near the object. as distinct from existence. Yeah, that's the meaningful thing. Terminology varies from one to another. But the emphasis is on the process of unfolding existential self-consciousness in finding, creating authentic existence for oneself. Okay, those are the general characteristics. Let me add this, that having said that, there are different varieties of existentialism, in which some of these characteristics are more prominent than others. There are some, for instance, who are quite irreligious, and there are other existential thinkers who are religious. Now, obviously, Kierkegaard is one of the religious, and Nietzsche is one of the irreligious. So we get a sample there. But the other religious ones, names like Gabriel Marcel, French Catholic writer, who was so disgusted with another irreligious one, namely Sartre, that he refused to call himself an existentialist and coined the phrase philosophy of existence instead. Marcel. Or Paul Tillich, the Protestant theologian. Or Martin Buber, the Jewish philosopher. Whereas the irreligious down here, you've got Sartre, you've got Heidegger, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, just that distinction tends to trigger another distinction, because in people like Marcel and Buber particularly, you get the realization that meaning, authentic existence, is found in relationship. It's Buber who not coined, but popularized the term I-thou, hyphenated, you see, who says that the basic word is not I, not thou, but I-thou. And the I only has meaning as abstracted from the relationship. But the experience of we-ness is prior to the experience of the solitary I. Okay? And I think in young children that's obviously so. And with Marcel, analogously. And of course in Kierkegaard, authentic existence is gained in relationship to God. So there's no authenticity alone. And it's not surprising then that somebody like Sartre, who tends to see relationships as masochistic or sadistic, and is irreligious, ends up by saying there's no meaning to it all. Yeah, in his big work, Being and Nothingness, he has no discussion of love. No, he has discussion of sexuality, but it's all about masochism and sadism. You see? No positive, nurturing kind of relationship involved. And reason for that? Well, his phenomenology begins to explain it, describe it. The explanation, ultimately, I think, is twofold. One, biographical. His autobiography, I think, called Words, is quite revealing. But other than that is the fact that in Sartre there's a dialectic that goes on between what he calls l'en-soi and le pour-soi. L'en-soi is simply what is in itself. Pour-soi is what is for itself. Now, does that echo a Kant? The thing in itself, the thing for me? It's Kantian language. You see. The thing is that the self-conscious individual is concerned with, yes, the world as it is for me. And is blocked all the time by the intransigence of the world as it is in itself. How many of you have read Sartre's play, No Exit? Okay, half a dozen of you maybe. Do it. The rest of you, I was going to say bums, do it. My goodness, what have you been doing with yourself all your lives? You'll read it in an hour, if you can stand it. But you see, it's a picture of three individuals, 2 women and a man, in a room from which there's no exit. Oh, it turns out there's a door that's open, but you just can't bring themselves to leave. It's a dramatic setting of hell. This is the afterlife. And they're living with their pasts. Here they have to put up with each other. They try to make up to each other. There's two of them seem to be doing pretty well. Well, either the third one breaks it up, or else one of them does something which destroys any possible relationship. And you get a dramatic picture of this, the individual who wants this other one for self, being negated by the other, which is what it is in itself. Until at the end of the play, you get the line, hell is other people. All right, let's get on with it. End of play. The antithesis without a synthesis. The antithesis of l'en-soi, le pour-soi, without a synthesis. And that stands in marked contrast to Marcel, who has a play with another threesome in it, a play called The Man of God, a Protestant pastor in France, whose relationship with his wife leaves something to be desired, and whose daughter is about to run away from home. You get the picture? And just as the crisis seemed to be about to burst, knock on the door brings in one of the parishioners with her baby, desperately wanting the pastor's help. So he tends to the parishioner, and then when he comes back to the others, he says, they all say, well, now it's for people like that that we have to live. I just said that Marcel is repudiating Sant. I think man of God is a conscious repudiation of no exit. Yes. Where instead of le pour soi, one into myself, there's a notion of giving of oneself, which is the basis for meaningful relationship. So it's interesting contrast then between these two groups. All right, let's say a few things about Kierkegaard. Oh, incidentally, one other of the religious types is a Russian Orthodox, Nicholas Berdyaev. So you get a variety of Judeo-Christian traditions in there. All right, Kierkegaard, mid-19th century Danish thinker, educated in Germany, time of Hegel. And I think it's fair to say that the central theme in Kierkegaard, which in a way sets the pace for later existentialism, is the theme of becoming a person, which for Kierkegaard is becoming a Christian. But this is, of course, the question, what is it to be a person in this kind of a world? And you find Kierkegaard criticizing the inadequacies of both the Enlightenment account of a person and the Romanticist account of things. Enlightenment and Romanticism. Neither sufficient. We're not rational animals. We're not primarily related to external things. We're not filled with creative spirits that's just wonderful. No, those images are dead, false optimisms. Yes. Rather, he talks about two paths to becoming a Christian. And this is most systematically developed in his work called A Concluding Unscientific Postscript. A little bit of his famous irony in that title. It's about 400 pages, hardly a postscript. Unscientific, to say the least. You know, what existentialists would draw on 18th century, 19th century science anyway, what we did in Enlightenment, so forth. But the two paths to becoming a Christian that he talks about are the objective and the subjective paths. You see? Now, the objective path is the path of natural theology, or the path of historical evidences. And his complaint about that is various. One is the indecisiveness of the rational. Because you know the way it is with arguments and evidence. There are counter-arguments. So you always have to respond to the counter-argument. And then there's an argument to the counter-argument, and you have to respond to that counter-argument to the counter-argument, and then there's a counter-argument to your counter to the counter to the counter-argument, and so on and so forth. And there's always something else that has to be done. Reminds me of a friend of mine who, back in the 50s, was going to write a little book on a certain topic. And he kept saying, well, there's something else come out, another article in a journal I haven't looked at, and so he postponed until that. It's now 92. He's retired, and the book never was written. You see? Yeah. Well, Kierkegaard sees that, you see. That's the tendency of the Germanic scholar, 19th century German scholarship. You know, you remember that 3-volume German introduction to the elephant? Remember? Yeah. So that objective path leads really nowhere. It's never finished. And says Kierkegaard, this is because, one, it lacks any absolute starting point. Direct reference to Descartes. You see. And because its logic is able to deal with universal concepts, but not with individual existence. Remember that deductive logic has to have a term universally distributed at least once in a syllogism, if there's going to be any logical connection between the premises. So traditional logic is not a logic of the individual, the unique individual, the unique situation. But in addition, the objective path cheats us out of the passion. Oh yes, cool, calm, enlightenment, reason, you know, cheats us out of the passion which alone provides impetus to faith and love, hope. So you'll find on 297, for instance, a passage in which Kierkegaard makes the point that a logical system is possible. Sure, lots of logical systems are possible. Look at them all. Spinoza, Leibniz, Hegel, Descartes. A logical system is possible, but an existential system is impossible. You think? Because its universal truths can't catch that slippery eel of individual